For years, the plan seemed to work. Juan Carlos Ramirez Abadia vanished. Law enforcement agencies around the world had his old photo, his old fingerprints, his old name, but that man no longer existed. He was living quietly, if strangely, in Brazil, managing the remnants of his empire from the shadows. He communicated with his lieutenants through encrypted devices, a ghost in the machine still pulling the strings of a multi-billion-dollar drug enterprise. He was a phantom, shielded by his new face and the immense fortune he used to bribe, corrupt, and intimidate anyone who might get too close. The challenge for investigators was immense. How do you hunt a man who doesn't look like himself? Traditional police work, like showing photos to informants or witnesses, was useless. The man they were looking for was, for all intents and purposes, gone. They were chasing a memory. The DEA and Colombian authorities had to get creative. They knew he couldn't run his empire without communicating, so they shifted their focus from finding his face to finding his voice. The key, they realized, was to intercept his communications. They began a painstaking process of electronic surveillance, listening to thousands of hours of phone calls. The breakthrough came from technology. Investigators had old recordings of Ramirez Abadia's voice from previous wiretaps. They used sophisticated voice recognition software to analyze the unique patterns, cadence, and pitch of his speech. It was like a vocal fingerprint. They began feeding every suspicious, high-level encrypted call they intercepted into this system, hoping for a match. It was a search for a needle in a global haystack. For months, they listened, they analyzed, and they waited. They were hunting his voice, the one thing he couldn't change with a surgeon's scalpel. And then, they got a hit. A voice on a call from Brazil matched the vocal signature of Juan Carlos Ramirez Abadia. The ghost had spoken. The wiretaps led them to a network of individuals in Sao Paulo, and slowly, painstakingly, they began to close the net. They tracked his money, his associates, and his movements, all without knowing what he looked like. They followed the digital breadcrumbs he left behind, tracing the phantom back to his lair. The hunt was on, and the man with the new face had no idea that the walls were finally, irrevocably closing in around him.